I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, February the 24th, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Effective treatment with no BS. Get your affordability right up front with a reasonable price. No mail-offs. Keep your cash with the same results. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards in Carthage, Missouri. Expecting just a moderate run here today for Monday, the regular feeder cattle auction, expecting around 4,500 head, and not going to start till 8:30 in the morning, so that's a light run for them. Not sure if we just have fewer cattle out there. Maybe people are still kind of uneasy about the market, but I'd say we're starting to run out of cattle in places to sell. Got a special cow and bull sale coming up Thursday, February the 27th at Joplin Regional Stockyards. Starts at 4:30 in the afternoon. They've got several nice consignments of local bred heifers and cows there. Be sure and check them out. It's Thursday, not Wednesday, but Thursday, February the 27th, Joplin Stockyards at 4:30. You can always view and bid all of Joplin sales on DVAuction.com. Has spring sprung? Gosh, what a contrast from last week to this week, and most of us already realized it over the weekend, but just unbelievable. As bitter cold as it was last week, it is going to be really mild this week. I mean, like in the northern plains up in North Dakota, they were in the negative 40 degree range last week, and they're going to be in the plus 40 degree range this week. And you wonder why cattle and kids get sick. But it's going to be nice. But as warm as it gets, guys, you have to remember there's a lot of frozen tundra out there. And when we get these warm temperatures like this, the bottom will fall out of those lots, those frozen lots that you've been tiptoeing around in with your buckets or driving in there with your pickup, checking calves or checking heifers that are calving or cows. They may not be quite as solid as what they were over the last several weeks. The bottom's going to fall out of them things, guys, as it gets a lot warmer, and you guys know what I mean when I talk about that. But we will see receipts come back to our cattle auctions. Our receipts have been curbed a lot the last couple of weeks because of the frigid cold temperatures coming back. I don't think our sale barns are really behind selling cattle. Most every sale barn I talked to said they've been selling at least a month out front. Cattle that normally were coming at least a month earlier. So we're going to run into some real tight supplies, especially of those turnout cattle that have the condition. It's hard to find them. But we did get a cattle on feed report on Friday. It was largely neutral there. And not going to be a big market mover, I don't believe. February 1st, inventories in the northern plains were heavier, in the southern plains were lighter, but your January placements of feeder cattle in feedlots in Texas was down 14% compared to a year ago. Still trying to recover from the lack of the Mexican cattle there. But if you remember last month's cattle on feed report, they were down 23% from the previous year, and this time just down 14%. Kansas feedlots were up 15% on their January placements compared to the report a year ago. Nebraska was up 6%, Colorado down 4%, and Iowa about steady. But your cattle on feed report that come out on Friday had these results. February 1st inventories nationwide 99.3% of a year ago. What was the average of the analyst guess? Exactly that, 99.3. So it's going to be neutral. Now your other two factors were uneven a little bit, but I think they're kind of offset. Your placements for January came in at 101.7, so lighter than what they thought at 103. So we get a little advantage there as far as bullishness for our feeder cattle market. But marketings were down. Well, they were still more than a year ago, but they were not as much as what the analysts had guessed. They came in at 101.4 and the average of the analyst guess is 102.2, and they hardly ever miss those. They have the information, so those are hardly ever missed, but still pretty much neutral. Now, looking forward to this next month's cattle and feed report. It is going to be super, super light, especially on placements. You just think back to this month, earlier this month and up through last week, very, very few cattle were placed, very, very few cattle moving. That could shake some things up. So we'll look forward to next month's cattle and feed report. I want to talk about Buck Ridge Cattle Company's production sale coming up Monday, March the 3rd. That's near Seymour, Missouri. That'll be east of Springfield, a little ways there. But they're going to have 65 bulls. They've got Angus bulls. They've got Limb Flex bulls. They've got Limousine bulls. Really nice. Got 12 females to sell. That's going to be at 2 o'clock Central. They're going to have lunch at 12:30. I'm going to be there on hand. I've been going the last few sales there. Be glad to visit with you guys a little bit and probably give a short message there. But they do have free delivery anywhere in the United States. They will get that to a regional hub for you. So don't miss out on that sale. Buck Ridge Cattle Company near Seymour, Missouri. It's going to be Monday, March the 3rd. Be on DVAuction.com. Let's talk about your board for last week. February live cattle futures, of course, Monday was President's Day. Tuesday was down 30. Wednesday was up 37. Thursday down 20 cents. And Friday up 20 cents. So not a lot of shakeup in your live cattle pits there. And your February live cattle ended the week at 197.82. April ended the week at 193.95. You look at your feeder cattle market for March. Of course, Monday was President's Day, no board. Tuesday was up 337. Wednesday was down 70. Thursday was down 220. Friday up 112. So not too bad in the feeder cattle pits there. March feeder cattle ended the week at 267.95. April ended the week at 267.55. Your grains, March corn ended the week at 491.25. Beans ended the week at 1039.5. These are all for March. And March hard red winter wheat ended the week at 609.25. Talk about your fat cattle trade, what little there was of it. Through Thursday, we had only sold 25,300 negotiated cash in your 5-area feeding region. That is extremely light. Prices were lower again. Your live sales of fat steers and heifers range from $198 to $201. That is $2 to $3 lower than the previous week, with a weighted average around $199.61. It's the first time that we've had a cash live FOB weighted average under $2 since the first week of January. Your price range on your dress sales, $315 to $320. That was steady to $4 lower, with a weighted average on dress steers at $315.28. On Friday, we had a little bit more trade, same dismal market there. Iowa 3,500 head sold on Friday before 2 o'clock. We'll get the late sales on our next report. But you're through the week, Iowa had only sold 10,300. That's about a third of what they normally sell. Negotiated cash. Live prices $198 to $201. Dress prices from $315 to $317. Very disappointing. Nebraska 1,500 more on Friday. 12,300 is all for the week. The only price they had on Friday live was $199. Dress was $313 to $315. Kansas sold another 150 on Friday is all. Only 6,400 in Kansas. They're getting as bad as Texas anymore. And live price in Kansas $199. Texas 1,150 head on Friday. Only 2,700 for the week. And the live price at $199. So lost quite a bit of ground in our fed cattle market last week. And normally your fat cattle market loves a storm with all the weight that's being sucked off of them trying to keep warm. But we'll have to see. These packers have really cut these kills, and now they're not buying a lot. They're going to be short bought, and short shelved there, they're not going to have a lot of product if they do need it to send out to their wholesale buyers there. But box beef cutout values, your weighted average on all of last week's choice cut sales were down 571 at 313.76. Weighted average on all of last week's select cut sales down 656 at 303.89. That weighted average on all of last week's, the choice select spread on that was $9.87 is all, and all of that information based on just 623 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter came back a little bit more late in the week because we'd been running even lower than the previous week's really disappointing schedule. But last week, 563,000 estimated cattle slaughter. That was 2,000 better than the previous week, 27,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Fair Piece, that revolutionary product that is scientifically proven, guys. Tell you what, we've talked about how much it helps when you're weaning your calves. You need to include Fair Piece as part of your processing on cattle going into the feedlot. Just squirt it on their pole and on their nose there, and it costs $3 a dose. And do it at reimplanting also, so you'll have a total of $6, added on there, and get over a $50 return in a test that they ran at Bushland, Texas A&M Research in Bushland, Texas, just a few months ago, guys. It's good stuff. For more information, go to fairpiece.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance, working to protect your livelihood, guys, with Specialty Risk Insurance. Check them out. Your real-time index on DVAuction ended the week at 282.95. That was up 679 from the previous week. Now, your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was not up quite that high, but it's not current. So they had some pretty waspy Friday sales, so we'll see what happens when the gets in there. But it was at 278.84. The extremely light receipts were mostly to blame for that big charge we saw in our RTI, because we didn't have a whole lot of sales around, and the few sales that they did have were like premium type sales. And so we didn't have as many of our big slugs of commodity auction cattle running through to weigh that index down. But pretty impressive there. Mostly last week we didn't have enough auctions to really test the market. It was not well tested in most places that even did have a sale. The receipts were curbed, and very, very few sales around last week. Where it was tested in auctions that had sales and had sales the week before, your feeder market was $2 to $5 higher. Talk about your late week sales last week and over the weekend. How about one we don't get to talk about near enough? JC Livestock Sales in Junction City, Kansas. Now that's the Langvart family there. Really nice people, and they were having their anniversary special there at Junction City. Had over 2,000 head of feeders. Look at this automated market report. They were your NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day, and it was on Saturday. Look at this, all your best tested weights. 284 head of 6-weight steers, Junction City, Kansas, average 647 pounds. The weighted average price of $326.22. There were 536 head of the 7-weight steers. They averaged $744. Weighted average was $3 smooth. 308 head of the 8-weight steers averaged $854. Weighted average price $276.94. Look at the heifers. 114 head of 5-weight heifers averaged $544 at $331.28. 297 head of 6-weight heifers averaged $651 at $286.13. And 121 head of 7-weight heifers, JC Livestock Sales, Junction City, Kansas, averaged 743 pounds. Weighted average price $256.63. An individual quote out of Junction City, and you look at this picture here that was sent to me by Michael Imbrogno. The brown cattle there at Junction City, Kansas, there were 72 steers, weighed 767 and bring 288. Pretty impressive there. How about some others all over the country? Nevada Livestock Marketing, our friends out there in Fallon, Nevada, Jack Payne and family. He sells 70 little steer calves, weighed 395 and bring 457 in northern Nevada. How about Bloomington Livestock Exchange in Bloomington, Wisconsin? They sell 70 steers on Friday, weighed 812 pounds at 283 and a quarter. That's about as impressive as we saw last week. How about Dunlap Livestock Auction in Dunlap, Iowa? They sold 86 big steers, weighed 930 pounds, bring 272.35. Wow. But the most impressive quotes that I saw anywhere late last week and over the weekend, and your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Fort Pierre Livestock Auction, Fort Pierre, South Dakota. There was 2 of them, and they're the highest quotes that I've seen through this whole rally. And we thought that it was over, and we've seen prices kind of decline here of late. But listen to both of these quotes. First, 90 steers weighed 602 and bring 370. Wow. But maybe more impressive than that, 107 steers weighed 478, pretty close to 500 pounds, guys, bring 444. I hadn't seen that ever. That's your feeder flash for Monday.